Welcome back to the Wicked Kitchen, guys. Today, this is one you don't want to miss, okay? We have vegan Reubens, all right, with the homemade seitan pastrami, untoasted rye with sauerkraut. You don't want to miss this one. Stay tuned. All right, so the first thing we're gonna make in this mix is we're going to blend up the liquid ingredients, okay? The wet ingredients. And it's just like whenever you make seitan, there's a number of different ways to make seitan, but it's similar to a brisket recipe that we have also on the YouTube channel. You can check it out right here. Okay, we have a seitan brisket. We're going to make a seitan sort of pastrami, very spiced seitan deli meat, okay, that we can slice really, really thin, pan fry it up. It's gonna be amazing in the sandwich, you guys. I'm gonna start off with, to make this flavorful liquid, we have some vegetable stock. I have some dry sherry, okay, and then I have some tamari in there and some maple syrup for sweetness. So I have some tomato paste, about 3 tablespoons or so. And then I'm going to also add some beet. This is going to give it the color. Also adds a nice sweetness to it. All right, because there's plenty of sweet in there. It doesn't matter if you have the peel or not, but you just want about a cup of sliced beet. All right, I'm gonna blend that up. I'm gonna blend this up to a nice beet smoothie. Lots of flavor here. All right, so you have your blended beet mixture. This will make an absolute mess, so make sure you just use this, pour it in the bowl when the dry mix is ready. So let's start off, let's make this dry mix. So I'm using a Vita wheat gluten, all right? Also using some chickpea flour. I'm adding some nutritional yeast as well. Let's season it up with a little bit of salt. Some pepper. All right. Let's mix all that up. Make a little well in the center. I'm not going to use all of this liquid, all right? So made a little too much liquid. But the recipe in the book is accurate. I'm eyeing everything. I'm just going to go ahead and add that in. This is going to give a brilliant color to the seitan too. So I'm just mixing that up. Almost all of it. So I'm basically just mixing it up until it fully combines. Okay, and just kind of like, you know, you're mixing the wet batch with the dry batch. You can add a little bit more liquid in there as you need it. So this recipe was really inspired by one of my favorite sandwiches in the States from the Chicago Diner. In Chicago, it's a really old school vegan restaurant that make these incredible Reubens. So we have this seitan, which is amazing. All right, so we're just gonna make sure all of the ingredients are mixed in. Okay, just gonna knead those ingredients in. You don't really need to activate it because the whole thing is gluten, you know. I'm not needing it to activate it, just to mix it, okay? So this is the raw seitan itself. We're gonna make the spice mix now. All right, so the next step is we're going to make the spice blend. Now the spice blend, we're gonna completely coat the seitan while it's baking. All right, so the seitan is setting aside. It's got some crazy vibrant color. It's not gonna cook out a lot of that color. So a lot of the color is still gonna remain. This is gonna be an amazing deli meat, veggie deli meat here. So we're gonna heat up a pan. I'm gonna toast up some spices. I have some mustard seeds. You can use mustard powder if you wish. I have some mustard seeds, not a lot there. I have some caraway seeds also. And I have some coriander seeds. All right. So we're gonna get those nice and toasted. The other ingredients that I have some brown sugar or coconut sugar works. Okay, this gives it a nice caramelization on the outside of it as well. I have some smoked paprika. I have some garlic granules. And I have some onion granules as well. Let's add some more salt in there. Okay. All right, so I got a mortar and pestle. You can also use a spice grinder. I like using a mortar and pestle. So the oven is preheating at 350. This seitan is gonna cook anywhere from hour 15, hour and a half. Okay, and you're gonna be turning it as it's cooking. So I'll touch on that in just a minute. But you want to preheat your oven. Make sure it's preheated at 350. All right, so those mustard seeds are popping. You're getting those aromatics. I mean, these are just toasted spices, toasted seeds. So what you're doing, again, you're bringing those essential oils to the surface, and you're giving a amazing nuttiness to all these spices, all right? So I'm adding those to a mortar and pestle, and I'm just gonna grind those up. I'm gonna grind them up so it's coarsely ground, okay? I'm not gonna grind it so it's a complete powder. All right, so I'm gonna add that in to the other spices. Let's mix that up. There's so much flavor in this spice blend. All right, so you want to get yourself some heavy-duty tin foil, and we're gonna roll this up. What's key is you want to make sure it's heavy-duty because this will split if it's not. Seitan naturally, when it hits heat, gluten, it wants to expand, and so what we're doing is we're contracting it so it doesn't expand. So you're gonna have to be left with that very, very dense end product. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna sit here, I'm going to spray the tin foil. What that's gonna do also, it's gonna help it not stick, but it's also going to have the spice blend stick well. So you're just gonna stretch this. You want it to be probably 3 to 4 inches in diameter. Okay. That should be good. All right. All right, so I'm going to now take that spice blend. I'm just gonna cover this. I'll save a little bit on the side so I can patch it up. You wanna make sure you get all the seitan covered up. All right, so we're going to just roll that up. You want it to completely coat. Completely coat. All right, so I'm going to roll this up. All right, so you wanna make sure you're tightly rolling, just like a giant spliff here, right? So we are rolling that up. And then what we're going to do is we're gonna tighten up the sides, and you wanna really make sure that this is tight, okay? So we're gonna put this in the oven anywhere from an hour and 15 to an hour and a half on 350. As it's cooking, every 15, 20 minutes, I'm just gonna turn it, okay? I'm gonna turn it in the oven on the sheet pan, and we're gonna remove it from the oven when it's very, very hard to touch, okay? In terms of, you know, the density, you can really feel it through the tin foil. Right now it's quite soft, but as it cooks, it's gonna expand, as I mentioned. So let's get this in the oven and we'll check on it in a bit. So because this is gonna be going into a Reuben, I'm gonna prep all my other components. So as soon as that is out of the oven and it chills for 15, 20 minutes, before I slice it, I'll have everything assembled and ready to go. So mise en place, everything's set in place so I can finish the dish, okay? So let's start off with, let's make this dressing. So, Russian style dressing. So we're gonna do some vegan mayo. We have some sriracha, it's gonna make it a little spicy. We have some tomato paste. We have some Dijon, some black pepper. Let's add a little bit of sea salt in there. All right, I'm gonna add some shallot. All right, we have some shallot in there. We have also some pickle. So you can use a little bit of relish as well, which works, but I like just dicing up some dill pickle. Want to give it a little bit more texture in there. Typically the relish, if you are not straining it and pressing out the acidity and the vinegar component that's in there to preserve it, it breaks the mayo. So I like to just cube up some pickles. Let's add a little bit of parsley to finish off that dressing. I'm gonna roll that up. Just some good sized pieces is fine. This is an amazing burger sauce too, by the way. I love just having this sauce on hand to, keep in the fridge for a good couple weeks. So this will be an amazing topper to this completely comforting sandwich, all right? Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna fry up some onions. All right, so we're gonna get these ready as well. All right, so we got a pan, let's get some oil in there. Add some onions. Just gonna caramelize these up. Or like sauteed onions. I'm not gonna take the full time to caramelize these, but I'm just gonna pan fry them up. Get them nice and translucent. Got some pepper in there. Lower that down to a medium heat. I'm just gonna toss that up so they get some color. Let this cook for a little while. All right, so the key when it comes to any kind of caramelization or getting any color on a vegetable or onions in particular, so many people like to add vegetables to a saute pan, add onions to a saute pan, and just constantly move them, okay? And what you're doing is you're sweating them, which is fine if you're going for the longer term caramelization, but if you're really just trying to get a little bit of color, just letting them sit. It's okay to let them sit. If you're sauteing vegetables, if you're sauteing mushrooms or zucchini or something like that, it's okay to let them sit in the pan and cook for a couple minutes before you actually toss them. That's where you're gonna get the color, and that's where you're gonna get the flavor. All right, so let's check on that seitan. I think it should be done. So you can see, remember it's quite soft before. This is definitely quite firm. You can see to touch. All right, so this is I'm gonna let it sit. So if I were to, make this at home and have lots of time, I would basically let it sit in the counter for an hour, let it cool down. I'm gonna pop it in the fridge, totally fine. You can pop it in the fridge and it'll cool down a lot faster. And as it cools down, it also will firm up and tighten up and obviously be a lot easier to handle. So we're gonna pop this in the fridge and let it sit in there for about 15 minutes. All right, so these onions are done. Let's set these aside. These will top off. Be an amazing, sweet, savory addition to these Reubens. All right, so let's check on that seitan. It has been in there cooling for a little while. All right, so this has been in there for about 20 minutes. Definitely cooled off. Speed up the process. You can always toss it in the freezer. That works as well. Let's open it up. All right, that looks delicious. We have that seitan. Let's just slice it in half. We'll just work with half of it right now. All right, so let's take half of that. We'll set that aside. And then this other half, let's slice this as thin as possible. Just to really recreate that texture. We're gonna pan fry this. We're gonna add some fat to it. You notice when we made the seitan, there's not any fat added to it. Let's set this aside. Let's start toasting the bread and we'll start assembling. All right, I like to butter the bread. When I'm talking butter, I'm talking plant-based butter. No dairy products here. All right, so we got the pans heated up. Let's just toast each side. I'm gonna do 3 sandwiches. We got a hungry crew here, so we got 3 sandwiches. I'm just gonna toast the bread on one side only. And I like to keep the non-toasted side as that middle part of the sandwich. If it's untoasted, it absorbs all that sauce, all that goodness from the onions and all that. So we're gonna toast this up. Get these nice and toasted so we can assemble. Toast as well. Oh, it smells so good, just toasted rye bread. Let's get that back going. All right, let's add some oil to the pan. We're gonna crisp up a little bit of the seitan, so I'm gonna add that. Gonna infuse this with a bit of fat. So we're gonna add oil to the pan, add a little bit of oil there. We're just gonna let this saute up, get a little bit of crispy. We'll add the sauerkraut in there. We'll add those fried onions, and we'll melt some cheese, and this will be good to go. So I'm gonna set that over here. I'm gonna set that on the side. I'm gonna add that sauerkraut. All right, add the sauerkraut right to the pan. All right, and we're gonna basically assemble these in the pan. So I have that cooked seitan. Make little beds of these, just enough for the sandwich. Okay, so there's 3. So you have these little piles of what you're cooking up here. And I'm just heating up that sauerkraut. Okay, we're gonna hit it with some vegan cheese. All right, as I've mentioned in other videos, of course, melt the vegan cheese by adding a little bit of water, all right? It's also gonna add a little hydration to that seitan, so not a lot, just around the edges. That's gonna melt the cheese, still on high. Give that a minute. While that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble these sandwiches. So I sauce both sides of the bread. I like my sandwiches saucy. The messier it is, if you don't need paper towels for a sandwich, then it's just not a proper sandwich, right? Like, it's all about getting sloppy with your food. All right. We also have those fried onions. Let's layer those as well on the bottom layer. So good. All right, let's shut that off, that heat off. Let's check that out. Oh, that is good to go. All right, there we have it. These are ready to assemble. My granny spatula. Let's put this on. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. So nice. These are messy and they're gonna fall apart all over the place. So as soon as you're gonna top it off. Oh, look at those sandwiches. There you have it. A delicious wicked Reuben. Wicked style, of course, with that homemade seitan pastrami, you guys. Sauerkraut, caramelized onions, that Russian dressing. This is gonna be good. I cannot wait to dig in. I've been waiting for a while for this sandwich. Cannot wait to get in. Holy shit, that is delicious. If you like this recipe, be sure to subscribe and check out the rest of our videos. I'm gonna finish this up and then take a nap. Peace out, guys. Enjoy it. All right, welcome back to the Wicked Kitchen. Wait. Okay, welcome back to the Wicked.